Hello, let's continue our Sudoku adventure with Mountain Momma by me, Rangsk. So this one's going to be a little different for a few reasons. One is, this is what I'm going to call a boss battle. So every once in a while, not that often, I'm going to introduce a 6x6 or some other puzzle that's on the more difficult side. I think it's still approachable, but I think part of the difficulty of this is the combination of rules, some of which you may not have encountered before. And this is, I think, a peek into the sorts of Sudokus that exist out there. I'm not saying that my Sudokus are representative of all the amazing ones out there, but I will say that I did design this to be approachable, but make you have to think about how certain things interact in ways that maybe this series hasn't covered yet. So I am calling this a boss battle. It might be the hardest puzzle of the series so far. I think that's going to be debatable depending on the solver. But definitely the hardest rules to understand. Because it is, I basically broke my own rules for this series when I tell constructors to leave it to one, maybe two constraints. And here I am with at least three, if you could argue there's more. So... but this is a really cool hybrid between Sudoku and pencil puzzles. And again, I'm not singing my own praises. I'm just saying I always find it really cool when pencil puzzle types are sort of added into Sudoku and you're kind of doing two different kinds of puzzles at once. So I recommend before you try this puzzle to read the rules carefully. I'm going to go over the rules carefully. I won't give anything away as I go over the rules, but I want to make sure you don't miss anything. It is a very dense block of text there, and it's very easy to forget some of the rules as you get into solving. So if you do feel stuck, maybe read through the rules again or watch through my explanation of rules again, and then maybe you'll go, oh yeah, there's that thing I forgot about. Very typical to happen. It happened to some testers as well who are very experienced with Sudoku. So I will say that some testers did not struggle too much. They did this in about 8 to 10 minutes, and some testers took a half an hour. Some of them got stuck completely. So don't feel bad if you get stuck. I have created this walkthrough video to get you unstuck if you do. I'd love to hear if you managed to finish this with or without my help, and if you enjoyed it, and if you want to see more boss battles in the future. So anyway... first, we do have normal 6x6 Sudoku rules. I'm not subverting the normal Sudoku rules. So in every row, every column, and every 2x3 box, we are going to be placing the digits 1 to 6 exactly once each. Now, the next rule, I'm actually going to skip this one for a second, and I'm going to go over the crop key pairs. But yeah, and it's standard crop key pairs. We have done that in this series before. So white dots separate consecutive digits. So if this was a 2, this could be a 1 or a 3 because you need these two digits to basically have a difference of 1. They need to be consecutive. Black dots have a 1 to 2 ratio. An easier way to sort of explain that is one is exactly double the other. So if I put a 3 here, this has to be a 6. If I put a 2 here, this could be a 1 because 2 is double 1, or this could be a 4 because 4 is double 2. Okay, and not all the dots are given, so there could be like two other cells like 2 and 4 here, and there's no black dot, that's fine. 2 and 3 here, there's no white dot, that's fine. Perfectly allowed. All right, so for the next constraint, I do recommend you turn on a setting. There are ways with coloring that you could try to do this, but I recommend enabling the pen tool in the settings. At the very top of the settings, turn on that pen tool, and then you'll get a fourth sort of option, or fifth option, I guess, because we normally have the, fill in the digits, corner marks, center marks, colors, and then you'll get a fifth one that lets you draw lines and X's and O's. You're going to want the lines. And so I have it on, you can turn it to center only mode if you want. And that'll keep it from drawing on edges of the grid. That might help you. But you can have it on center and edge and it'll work just fine. Just don't have it on edge only. And this allows you to draw lines in the grid and also erase them. And you are going to be drawing a line as part of the rule set. All right, so let's go over that part of the rules, and I'm going to go over it carefully. So I called this region some country road. So you may or may not be familiar with the country road pencil puzzle, but this is based on that rule set, but integrated into Sudoku. So let's go over it. And I added the region sum part. Draw a single non-intersecting orthogonally connected loop Okay, so these words mean very specific things. So first of all, a single loop. That means that we're not going to be drawing like a loop here and a loop here. Oops, maybe I should be on center only. There we go. We're not going to be drawing two separate loops. It's one single loop in the grid, only one loop in the grid. All right, so that's what single means. Non-intersecting means that we can't do something like this, right, where it goes through itself. It should always be unambiguous which way the loop goes, because here it's ambiguous. We could go down, right, and then up, and then right, and then turn, or we could go straight through and then straight through. So that's just not allowed. You cannot do this ever. Non-intersecting. All right. Orthogonally connected. That means you can't move diagonally, right? You're always moving across cells that share an edge. So you can do stair step things, but what you can't do is like completely skip one of these two and just go straight here. That's not allowed. No diagonals. All right. And it's a loop, which means that there is no obvious start or end. You might start somewhere, but you're going to clean that up. You're going to close it off. And so you can see here that this is just a loop, right? If you were kind of pull it apart, you'd end up with like a donut or a square or something, but there's no obvious start or end to it. It's just a loop. So it has to end where it started, if you're thinking about it that way. And it visits every box exactly once. So what that means is if I enter this box here and then I leave it, I'm not allowed to come back around and come back in, right? Now I've entered I've visited this box twice as I move along my loop, right? If I did something like this, this would be illegal because I have entered box 1 once and then I've entered it twice. So you're going to always have one entrance and one exit to every box. That's a good way to think about it. And so that's the loop. That's country road. Additionally, country road generally will tell you how many cells are occupied by the loop within each region. And so what I've done here is I've replaced that with circles, and you have to figure that out yourself. So each box has exactly one circle in it. That's all of these ones here. Let me highlight them. So we have all of these circles here. The digit that goes in the circle is the number of cells occupied by the loop in that region. Now you can go through the circle or not through the circle. There's no restriction on that. But if I do something like this, right, and we think about this box 1, there are 2 cells occupied by the loop. And we know we're not going to occupy any more because we're not allowed to re-enter. So I enter a 2 here. That's how that works. Hopefully that's clear. And again, this is why I said there's a lot of rules. But they all play together nicely, I hope. All right, the sum of the digits on the loop is the same within each box. So the loop acts like a region sum line. We did that twice now on this channel, and we did one very recently. So hopefully it's fresh. But if I draw a loop like this, let's say it somehow does this, right? And we actually I have to finish the loop so I can demonstrate that here. So let's just finish the loop like that. Now it doesn't visit every box, so this isn't a valid loop for the puzzle, but let's just go over it. So I'm going to color the cells differently within each box. Obviously, you won't actually have to color them, but if we were to add up the purple digits, we get some sum. Let's say we got, I don't know, 7, right? So let's say purple added to 7. So I had like 3, 4 here. Then the green cells would have to add to 7. The yellow cells would have to add to 7. And the blue cells would have to add to 7. So we might do like 4, 1, 2 here, and like 1, 6 here, and then this wouldn't actually be possible, but there we go. So yellow would also add to 7 in some way that wouldn't be possible. Cool. So that is the region sum part of it. That's one of the rules people tend to forget midway through the solve, so don't forget that one. And finally, to help you kind of get started on this loop and to direct it, the loop always goes directly through each white dot. So you can actually start this puzzle just by drawing a loop through every white dot. These are guaranteed. Every single one of these is guaranteed. Additionally, the loop must visit exactly one cell touched by each black dot, but not both. So I am not allowed to do this. I'm not allowed to do this. I think those are the options. I'm not allowed to do this, right? If one of the cells is occupied by the black dot, like let's say I did this, then this cell could not be occupied by the black dot. Or it could not be, sorry, if the loop occupies this cell, it's not going to occupy this cell. It certainly is never going to go straight through a black dot. So keep that in mind. All right, so those are the rules. I don't think I missed any. Yeah, I know that's enough. Hopefully you kind of see how they go well together. Feel free to rewatch my rules explanation again if you're confused. It's also in text form. Definitely give this a try yourself. Don't feel bad if you get stuck. That's what the video is for. But I'd be very interested to see if you enjoyed this kind of boss battle here. I am going to go over how to solve it right now. And I guess we'll time how long my explanation takes. Obviously, I know how to solve this because I made it. All right, this is take 2 of recording my explanation because I wasn't happy with the first time around. So it doesn't matter. I constructed the puzzle and I just want to make sure I represent this well. So the first thing we're going to start with is, as I described earlier, we are going to draw a line through every white dot because the rules tell us that we can. And I'm going to use gray to represent any cell that the loop cannot go through. Because either in this case it's because of the black dot, because we know we're going through this cell, we can't go through the other cell per the rules. Same thing here. Now if we look up at this box, it makes it pretty clear that this loop has to continue. All loop ends have to continue because it's going to make one single loop, and so this has to go up, right, and right. It has no choice. And then now because we know we never re-enter a box, we can mark this cell as never occupied. All right, so now we know that in box 1, we occupy 4 cells, and we know because of the rule about the circles that we can just fill a 4 there, because that means that there are 4 occupied cells in the region. All right, so now we want to think about box 2 and how this loop continues. Well, we know it has to go through either this cell or this cell. It's not allowed to just completely avoid it. If we did this, then we would be breaking the rules because we'd have to re-enter the box, and then we'd also have to exit again and we'd be breaking more rules. So definitely we are not going to be just going straight down. So there are 2 options. I either go through this cell or I go through this cell. Well, there's only one way I'm going through this cell because I'm not allowed to draw through here. So if I wanted to go through this cell, well, first of all, I'd be exiting through here and I'd be taking this corner. That would be the only way to do it. So this would be the only way to take the right cell. But you may notice, hopefully you do, that this makes the loop occupy 4 cells in the region, which would force a 4 into this circle, and we'd have 2 4s in the row. So that's not allowed. So we are not going to be going through this cell, which means we are going through this cell. Once we go through this cell, that means, and obviously we're not going to be going into this dead end here, so we can mark that gray as well. So we're either going to be taking this corner, or we're going to be taking this corner. And once we take the corners, well, we're certainly not going back up into this box like this. We're going to get stuck. If we go this way, we're not going to go left because then we'd occupy 4 cells, which again, not allowed. So we are either going to be going like this and straight out or like this and straight out. And so this is going to be a 3 and we are going to be coming out this way. So that's pretty good progress. This 3 is on a white dot. This has to be a 2 because it can't be a 4. And so now we can just fill the rest of this row here. This is going to be 1, 5, 6. But let's think about this box for a second here. What is this black dot? So it can't be 2, it can't be 4. So it's not going to be 1, 2. It's not going to be 2, 4. So 3, 6 is the only option. That removes 6 from here, and this is also 1 or 5. And then now if we think about this black dot, it can't be 3, 6. So it is going to be from 1, 2, 4. That means it does have a 2 on it. And yeah, I think that's what we have so far. So now what we want to do is we want to think about these sums as they relate to each other, because we want to use the region sum property of the country road, which will actually help quite a bit. So first of all, what is the minimum this can add to? Well, it's 10, right? We could do 1, 2, 3, 4, and that is still available. But what is the maximum this could add up to? So that's going to be more important. This is a 3, and this maxes out at 4. That's 7. So even if we take a 6 from here, or from here we'd have to take a 5 maximum. So if we want to think about the maximum, we'd be going this way, and we'd be taking 6 and 4. That's 10, plus 3, that's 13. So there's absolutely no way for our region sum to be any more than 13. It could be 13, but it can't be more than 13. So now if we think about this 5 here, if this was a 5, these would add to 11 already, plus another 3, that would be 14. Or 6 would be certainly much higher than that. So we cannot add to, we cannot make this a 5 because we can't add to 14. This maxes at 13. So that means this maxes at 13. So we can actually place this 1, which is very helpful. That gives 1, 2, 4 here, but there is a 2 in one of these, so that's not a 2. And, okay, so let's think about whether we actually go down and right. If we go down and right, what is the maximum I could make this? Well, I could make this a 4 and this a 2. The other option is making this a 4 and this a 1. That's even smaller. But if this was 4 and this was 2, that would add to 6. Plus 3, that's 9. That's too small. If I add to 9, then this is minimum 10. They can't match. So actually, I do go this way. And I need to add to at least 10. These could add to 9. So yeah, I could still be 3, 6, 1 at this point if I wanted to. So let's leave that there for a second, and let's look at the other end of the loop. So actually, one thing can we say that this can't be 4? No, this could easily be 4. We could do 3, 6, 4, and that would be 13. And then this could also add to 13, so that would work fine. All right, just double checking. So this 3, 6 here, it's going to follow a chain of white dots. What would the 3 do? Well, the 3 cannot go 2, 1 because it would repeat the 1. And it can't do 2, 3 because it would repeat the 3 because we started at 3. So it would have to go up. We'd have to go 3, 4, 5. The 6 would have to go down, obviously. So we go 6, 5, 4. And that gives us a 4, 5 pair in this box. Now, if we look at how many cells we would occupy in this box, it can't be 2. So we can occupy 3 cells, but now the 4 or 5 pair prevents us from occupying 4 or 5 cells. And we're definitely not occupying 6 cells because that would mean the sum would be 21. And we certainly know the sum's not 21 in other places. So none of these can be 6. And in fact, we can also say that this is a 3, but we can also say that none of these are 5 because 5 cells sum to a minimum of 15. And we know that this is 13 maximum. So all of our circles, I guess we could fill that. They're a minimum of 2 because we could make 2 cells add to 10. 10 is possible. They could be 3, they could be 4, but they cannot be 5 or 6. So we can just fill that and we can clean this up a bit. But let's look at we just filled this black dot. So let's do 1, 2, 4 here just for posterity. But okay, and we know there's a 2 in here. Actually, that's useful. That places a 2 here. But anyway, so now let's, and that places a 3 here, 6 and 3, and now we know our sum. Okay, so that was helpful. So our sum is 10, and this is 4, 5 already. We need to grab one more cell. That's going to go like this and this, and we know it needs to grab a 1 in order to add to 10, so that's 1, and 6 is remaining in the box. This leaves a 2, 4 pair here. I think there's a lot of ways forward from here, but let's pick one. Let's fill this digit. That's helpful. This is a 5. So we know we need to grab 5 more. So if we went down and right, and then we'd have to exit because it's a 3, this would have to be a 2, but it can't be. So we're not going down and right. We're going right and down and out. And these hopefully add to 5, which they do. They're a 1, 4 pair. This is going to be 2 and 6, and we should notice this 2, 4 pair does give us the 5 and 4. This is known as well. This is a 3. And we know our sum is 10. So let's think about how this continues. Can we do this? Well, it would have to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and that would break this cell here because it needs to be 2 or 4 also. So it cannot do that. So it has to go straight through. That leaves us with 4 and 6 only. The only way to add to 10. That gives the 5 and 6 here. This is not a 4. 3 plus 5 is 8, so we need 2 more to add to 10. This is a 3. This is a 1. That's 4 and 1. That's a 2. And we should be almost finishing up here. Let's do as much Sudoku as we can. So this we need a 1 and a 5, it looks like. Okay, so what is this loop doing? Well, it's a 3, right? So it's going to go down and left, or it's going to go left and down. So we're certainly not going right. If we went down and left, then this cell here would need to be a 6 in order to get to 10. If we went left and down, what would we do? So what can this cell be, I guess is really the question. It can't be a 1, it can't be a 2, it can't be a 3. So it would be at least 4. It can't be 5 or 6. So with a 4 or a 6 here, 3 plus 4 is 7. This would need to be another 3. That doesn't work. 3 plus 6 is 9. This would have to be a 1. That doesn't work. So we cannot go left. We are going to go down, and this is going to be a 6. That leaves 4 here. And I think the rest just cleans up. Our loop is done. Yeah, and we need a 2 and a 5. There we go. All right, so it took me about 10 minutes to explain the solve path. So, yeah, don't feel bad if it took you significantly longer. I know there's a lot of rules to remember, and I knew exactly where to look. Still took me 10 minutes. So, yeah, I hope you enjoyed this sort of boss battle type of puzzle. Again, I'm not going to do it too often, but let me know how you felt about it. And if you'd like to see like more like this, or if you're like, hey, just stick to the easier ones, please. I'll take any feedback that you have. And I hope you enjoyed this specific puzzle. I did. It was kind of hard to make this work, so it involved quite a bit of effort. So I hope you enjoyed it. And of course, if you did enjoy this puzzle or this series in general, why not leave a like, subscribe, and a kind comment below.